Greetings. Elder Blacklight here. Now, I'm talking about mastering intellect, intelligence, and sister, she's almost where I'm at, except one thing. She's telling us to leave the cities. But I agree with her up until that point. I'm going to show you some things, and then I'm going to come back and explain my position.
Chance to make a difference. This time, change now. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Africa 101. You know, when I started this particular segment of the show, I had actually thought it would be about, what is Kenya, where is Kenya, what is the capital and everything. But it's actually turning into something much deeper. But it's all about, African spirituality, African science, spiritual science, and kind of giving you the information, straight from the heart of Mama Africa. And one of the things that I've been getting a lot of questions, also oriented to a lot of the questions that you send me, etc., etc. And one of the things that a lot of people have been asking me about is, how do we avoid the mark of the beast? How can we protect our families from the chip? And it's a very, very valid question. And the most important thing, I just have 5 things that I really feel, will help you, at least empower you to move into a space where they can get you. And we have to realize we're spiritual beings having a human life, and we've reached a tipping point, beloveds, which means enough of us are awake where we will pull everyone with us. And there's something called the 100th monkey effect, where they found there were different monkeys on different islands, etc., etc., and they noticed that one monkey started cleaning, there were different ways that they used to eat potatoes. It's a long story, but long story short, one of the monkeys started washing the potato, once they cut it, they would take it to the river and wash it, and then more monkeys started doing it. And then when it reached 100 monkeys, or the entire community, they noticed that monkeys in different parts in other islands also adopted the same trait. And that is how connected we are as a people. And that is what has happened, is that enough of us have awakened across the globe. Enough of us are being brave enough to ask the questions, to, we're being courageous just enough to move into our calling, even though the world, to stand in our truth. And so we're seeing that, the veil, it's affecting the veil, and the veil is actually fragmenting, and the awakening, this brand new magnificent sunlight is just breaking through, and it cannot be stopped. So how do you avoid the mark of the beast? The most important thing is to raise your vibration, beloveds. Raise your vibration. That more and more you should be on plant-based foods, because we are, we're witnessing the great return of Mama Earth to herself. And so the way these animals are slaughtered and stuff, that's part of the dis-ease, beloveds, because they're almost tortured before they die, and then you eat that, and we're so interconnected, where those hormones will penetrate your system and affect you, I'm sure you've heard it so many times, where you're told you are what you eat, and so if you start to eat more of nature, you will become like nature, and nature is the most powerful force in the universe. And there's many people who will argue, yes, no, eat meat, don't eat meat, and that's really a personal decision. But for me, what I've found, especially because I know that I am a highly spiritual being, and I need to be having those higher thoughts, I have found that, meat and stuff kept me too low vibrational. Important part of raising your vibration. I'm almost running out of time, but the other things that I would say are, number 2, make sure you're growing your own food, at least the basics. As much as possible, try and move out of the cities. That's the next point as well.
Now that's where moving out of the cities. Sisters, every time when we get in trouble, we migrate, or we be refugees, bouncing around from country, city to city. You moving one at a time. It would be different if a whole community or a whole city would move out the city. But can't be like that. Everybody can't just pick up and move out the city. I got the remedy for this after I get through telling you that women got to stop being strategists when it comes to war. We still got some real brothers that are generals in nature. We'll talk about that later. But I'm going to show you what Master Farad said, and maybe you'll understand more better.
By Master Farad Muhammad to his servant, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, for the Lost Foundation of Islam in North America. To the Muslims of Number 1 Michigan, the following is the original rules of instruction to the laborers of Islam, and the title of Muslim given by our Savior before his departure, with a footnote of a few words of explanation to lay pressure upon their minds of their many errors in the past and present, that they may see the light and walk therein. I thank you, Elijah Muhammad. Instructions given to the laborers by our Savior, W.D. Farad Muhammad. 1. The student must study his assignment, lesson number 1. Each student should copy the answers of lesson of Minister Elijah Muhammad and study until the student is able to memorize by heart all answers to of said lesson number 1. Note: here, lesson number 1 is said to be the student's assignment first. Lesson number 1 lays the base of our work today and gives the student a clear knowledge of himself and his heavenly home, the best part of the earth, and who was the enemy to him and his nation, and why the enemy and righteous could not live together, and why was the righteous able to cast out his enemy. This teaches the student what he must do with the enemy of the righteous today. The righteous nation is now living in every part of the planet Earth. Therefore, the enemy must now be removed in every part of the planet Earth.
Greetings, I'm Elder Blacklight. Now this is where me and the sister, I'm with her up until that point. We gotta stop running. We're not gonna run no more. The instructions for the FOI is to remove the enemy in every part of the planet Earth. Not to run to every part of the planet Earth. There's more of us all over the planet than it is of them. And in the United States, the reason why they stopped letting Mexicans in and Spanish people, brown people in is because when you pair them up with the black man and the Indian, then if they unite, their political system would be literally the black man's. You think the Caucasian back ain't up against the wall. The Caucasian back is up against the wall and he's ready to fall. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Trumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Trumpty had a big fall. All the king horses, all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Trumpty back together again. That's where we at. But y'all can't see it because y'all scared. And sisters, you know, they stepping up. I like that, but we can't keep running, sisters. You know, we got to stand our ground. In Detroit, I keep telling y'all this story. When we first moved over there on Wildermere, to Finkel, we was outnumbered. White man didn't want us over there, and he started, you know, telling the police to hassle us. and his sons, teenage sons, and they motorcycle gangs and they hot rod gangs. They was trying to hassle us, give us a hard time. That was in 1956. We ran them away from over there, sent them into the suburbs. I mean, we was physically hand to hand combating with the devils, with the police too. All that is what led up to the 1967 riots. The white man ain't gonna tell you that part of the story. He gonna just make it sound like, well, it started at a Blind Pig or after I was joined, but they was hassling us, doing the same thing that they doing now, but in a small section of town, really throughout the city. But they really was trying to prevent us from moving in over there on Finkel. Now the city is 80 plus % black. We had a black mayor that reigned for 20 years, Coleman Alexander Young. We didn't know what we had. We didn't know how to deal with what we had. We don't know what we got now. But we ain't running. At least I ain't. Because you're gonna run, you can't run together. You can't run. Whole communities can't move out there unless you organize it. But we ain't gonna be refugees here and there. We gonna stand our ground and we gonna throw down. We gonna come back some more with this. And sisters, y'all quit trying to be generals. It's time for war now.